And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Marine forecast here. Not too bad along the south coast of the Panhandle. South to southeast winds 15 knots. East-southeast about 20 knots with seas up around 9 to 11 feet here all along the coastline. Lynn Canal southeast at 10 tomorrow. Clarence Strait south at 10, but Stevens Passage southeast at 15 knots. For the day Wednesday, north coast here east-northeast 10 to 15 knots. Central and south coast, north to northeast 15 knots, and northeast at 10 for Clarence Strait. North at 15 for Stevens Passage. Small craft advisories, north winds 25 knots. Lynn Canal. And for Prince William Sound, east winds 25 knots for Tuesday. Small craft advisories, north Gulf Coast, east-northeasterlies at 25. Cook Inlet, north to northeast at 20. Northeast 30, Kamishak Bay, and north at 25 for the Barren Islands. And for Cook Inlet, light north to northeast breeze at 10 knots in store for Wednesday. Small craft advisories here, northwest 25. Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay. Variable winds 10 to 15 knots for the North Gulf Coast, and light east breeze at 10 knots for Prince William Sound. Kodiak Island tomorrow, a little brisk on those northwest winds, anywhere from 25 to 30 knots. And northwest 20 for Bristol Bay. Gale warnings for the Alaska Peninsula, westerlies 35 knots. And then for the day Wednesday, those winds swing around to the east at 30 knots for the peninsula here. Northeast at 20 for Bristol Bay. Lighter winds for Kodiak. East-west at 15 to 20 knots. And for the Fox Islands, pretty windy day coming up there tomorrow. West winds 25 to 40 knots. Adak and Atka, west-southwest 25 to 30 knots. And then quite a range in direction and speeds here for the western Aleutians, up to 25 to 40 knots. And then for Wednesday, north to northwesterlies, gale force north to northwesterlies here, west of Adak, 35 to 40 knots out there. And for the central Aleutians here, northeast 25 to 30 knots. And east-northeast 30 to 35 knots for the eastern Aleutians. And for the southwest coast, as well as St. Lawrence Island, north winds tomorrow at 15 knots, northeast 15 for Norton Sound. And the Pribilofs west at 30 knots, north at 20 for St. Matthew Island. Outlook for Wednesday, Pribilofs northeast winds 30 knots, north at 30 knots for St. Matthew Island. St. Lawrence Island, Norton Sound, Yukon Delta coast, northeast at 15 knots. And south of Nunivak Island, winds will be north at 20 knots. And now for the eastern Beaufort Sea, 25 knot southeast winds there, Kaktovik Barter Island area east to Demarcation Point. Otherwise, light variable winds at 10 knots for the central coast and north at 15 there, picking up a little bit, especially you get down toward southwest of Wainwright and along the western coast there. And then 20 to 30 knot northerlies for the Chukchi Sea. And for Wednesday, Chukchi Sea, north to northeast, 20 to 30 knots, northeast 20 knots for the western and central Beaufort Sea coast. Very light winds now on the eastern coastline there, anywhere from 5 to 10 knots from the east to northeast.